Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote that health is our greatest wealth, and I've definitely found that to be true in my life. I think most people take their health for granted until something really goes wrong with them, like they have a serious illness or disease, or they're not feeling comfortable or confident with how they look. People get into a rut of eating foods that aren't that healthy for them. And when you eat foods that are devoid of lots of nutrients, it causes your body to crave to eat more food. One of the biggest problems we have in this country is people overeat. When you systematically undereat, and of course eat foods that are have a plethora of the vitamins, minerals, enzymes, antioxidants, phytonutrients, all the good chemicals for your body, then you feel satisfied on less food. But we've got to start eating more consciously and not eating because we're tired, we're bored, we're stressed out, we're angry, we're upset, or just because the clock says it's lunchtime or dinner time. I believe that the body reflects the mind and the mind reflects the spirit. So, in other words, let's start with the physical body. That's something over which we have control.
Susan Smith-Jones is back on the show. We're going to talk about Sleepless in America, how to improve your sleep. Susan, how are you today, dear?
I am doing great, Chris and Bob, and I promise you I'm not going to put anybody to sleep.
Well, that's why we're here, so we know how to get to sleep. So,
not during the show, though.
You heard what I said in the beginning, didn't you? I said, I hope nobody tells anybody about my my teddy bear.
Bob's got a teddy bear.
Yeah, well, everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs something to go to bed with, and then if you want to sleep, you just got to put your hand around your teddy bear.
Yes, I actually like that idea.
There you go.
All right, that's it. I'll talk to you next time. There's the tip.
All we need to know. Many people have got sleep issues, and that's one issue that I do work on with people is how come they can't sleep at night? How come they can fall asleep, but then they wake up and then they can't get back to sleep? So many different things pertain around our sleep. Hormones, stress, many different things. Myself, when I hit that pillow, good night, Irene, wherever you are, I'm out like a light, and I don't wake up until my alarm goes off. So, Susan, what the heck is going on with North America and sleep problems?
Yeah, sleepless in North America. So, we know this. I'm going to give you a brief intro. There's nothing more restorative for the body than good sleep, and plenty of it. And when you don't get enough and it's chronic sleep debt, I don't mean once a month, it really takes a toll on our bodies. It affects job performance, school grades, health, family harmony. And they say, studies show that women in particular, especially mothers, are the most sleep deprived. Most moms lose about 9 hours of sleep a week. And just last week, I read a recent National Sleep Foundation poll that said 25% of couples say they're too sleepy for sex. And if you have 6 hours of sleep nightly or less, it's the equivalency of driving drunk in terms of mental functions. And remember, lots of people are under stress, you know that, and lack of sleep undermines your body's ability to deal with stress. And one way you can tell if you're not getting enough shut-eye is to see if you can wake at a regular time every day without an alarm. If you require a buzzer or 2 or 3 alarms to get out of bed in the morning, I have one client who needs 3 alarms set, you're not getting enough sleep.
Now, let's look at myself, for instance. I get tons of sleep. I fall asleep. I don't really get any deep dreams. When I do, it's kind of in between the sleep and wake time. But when I wake up, boy, am I a bear. My wife looks at me and she gets up at 6 and goes, "Good morning, darling." I'm like, "Get me a coffee." So why is it some people wake up feeling chipper? They're morning people, when there's guys like me who wake up and need about 3 cups of coffee and an electrical kickstart to the brain to get going.
Well, some people are just morning people. I'm exactly like your wife. And then some people are not. But here's another added tip. If if you are so addicted to coffee and you drink it all the time, and let's say you gave it up for 24 hours and you got a little bit of a headache, which means your body's going through house cleaning, you're never in touch with your body's natural energy level. And so every morning, over a long period of time, your body gets in the habit of not being able to shake itself out of that slumberness until you get the caffeine. Saying to you, don't drink coffee, but I'm saying that could be one of the reasons why she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning, and you are a big polar bear.
I need 1 or 2 in the morning to get me going, and then that's it. Once that kicks in, I'm okay, and I'm going.
Good.
But yeah, the whole concept of waking up like, I could sleep another 15 hours, leave me alone, but you get up and you start moving slowly, and you start get going, all of a sudden everything's fine. It's like rolling downhill.
And you shake the sleepiness off.
Yes.
But now we know that it would be very wise for you to never do an early morning radio show.
Oh, you know, I pity my first clients in the morning, but we get through it okay, but it's not that bad. So, sleeping pills. I mean, how many people in North America are on sleeping pills?
There are about 50 million prescriptions written every year for sleeping pills, and you don't need sleeping pills. I have all these tips I'm going to give out today to help you sleep like a baby. So, but how much sleep do you think people need? And most people don't even notice. Adults need 7 to 8.25 hours of sleep, according to all the research, to maximize their ability to function daily. Adolescents need 9.25. Most never get that. Preschoolers need 12. Toddlers 13. Babies 14 to 18 hours of sleep every day.
Now, as adults, I mean, how many of us are considered night owls to stay up to 1, 2 in the morning watching Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, and then go to sleep and try and wake up at 7 a.m.? There's a lot of us like that.
You know, there's so many people that actually do that. And people are sleeping less now than they did a century ago, thanks to electric lighting, a shift to an urban industrialized economy, not to mention what you just said, late-night TV. And then the result is a disruption of the basic body metabolism. And then add to that all the workloads and daily stress that's increasing for many people. And sleep issues loom larger than ever before for individuals and society. And I want to get into detail on what happens with your weight and other major illnesses that happen when you don't get enough sleep. And then my best tips for making your bedroom a sanctuary and showing you how to get good sleep.
How much do things like smart meters, LED lights, electronics in the room, dirty energy, that type of thing, what kind of effect does that give most people?
That all affects your body's ability to sleep. In fact, there was a study done about a year ago at the University of Zurich in Switzerland, and said, do not use a cell phone at night before you go to sleep. In fact, don't even have it on the bedside table, because it messes up your brainwave activity and makes it difficult to go to sleep. They're doing a follow-up study on, well, what if you don't put it to your ear and you use a headset? They haven't finalized that yet. But so many studies I read, and I've read hundreds of studies on this, and I have lots of articles about sleep at SusanSmithJones.com. But so many studies show that you want to turn everything off. In fact, if you have a TV and radio and other things that give off this radiation, you should unplug them before you go to bed at night. And in fact, keep the bedroom for sleeping and sex, and try not even to watch TV. In a moment, I'll talk to you about what happens when you wake up in the middle of the night and you turn on the TV and how that makes it almost impossible to go back to sleep.
Got a question in the chat from Carmen, and she's asking about melatonin, creating melatonin.
Hi, Carmen. You know, that's not a bad thing. I say first, go through all the tips I'll give you in the next 5 hours. You said we have, right? So I'll go through all the tips, and if Carmen, if none of these things work for you, then a melatonin's not a bad thing. It's actually beneficial for your body, but you don't want to overdo it about an hour before you go to bed, or else you'll be like Chris and be a polar bear in the morning when you wake up. One of my clients, a celebrity everyone would know, but I don't ever drop names, she came to me because she's done everything I recommended, all the tips to get good sleep, but she can't get good sleep. And I finally said, bring me to your bedroom, let me just look at it. And she didn't tell me this before, but her walls were painted bright red. She loves, that's her favorite color. But red is a high energy color, and you need a more calming color in the bedroom, like a pale blue or a soft green or lavender or something with a different energy to make it easier. So we painted, I didn't, but she got somebody to paint her bedroom a very soft blue, and then she had no more sleep problems.
And that's all it took.
That's all it took, because she did everything else. I'll tell you about whenever you want me to talk to you about tips. I'm thinking there are a lot of people listening that might want to lose weight, and there's such a connection between lack of sleep and weight gain. I want to tell you what happens.
Please do.
Why not? So I should. Is Bob awake?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm up at. You're talking about these people, and I'm up at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
you're in
that's the
radio.
time I get up too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's part. It's in the DNA. I think it's
I think so, and I love the morning time. It's just
quiet,
it's imbued with so much possibility and opportunity, and it's quiet. And you remember that the first 40 minutes of your day sets the tone for the whole day.
Bingo.
So how do you want those first 40 minutes to be? You don't want to be rushed or angry or stressed out. You want to be peaceful, relaxed, and that's how you get, Chris, after you have a cup or two of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and relaxed.
So regarding weight gain, now, by the way, I have 2 new books that just came out. The Curative, and I write about sleep in both books. The Curative Kitchen and Lifestyle, and Invest in Yourself with Exercise. So you can go to SusanSmithJones.com and check them out. But there is such a connection between weight and sleep. And this can solve issues, problems for so many people, that researchers now know that your hormones in your body regulate satiety, hunger, and how efficiently you burn calories. But let's put it really simply. Too little sleep makes you, and I'm talking about less than like 6.5, 7 or less. Too little sleep makes you hungry, and especially for foods that are high in calories and low in nutritional value. And these include junk foods like those made with white sugar and white flour, fried foods like French fries and potato chips. And moreover, when you continually get lack of sleep, and remember the holidays are here and there's probably more rich food, it primes your body to hold on to all of the calories you eat, even if they're healthy calories. And a couple years ago, there was a study done at Columbia University in New York City, and researchers found that people who slept 6 hours a night, listen to this, 6 hours, and that's what a lot of people get, were 23% more likely to be obese than people who slept between 7 and 8.5 hours. Those who slept 5 hours were 50% more likely, and those who slept 4 hours or less were 73% more likely to be obese. So if you are eager to drop a few pounds, you've got to make getting ample sleep each night a non-negotiable habit in your lifestyle.
I missed that train. 155 and 6'1". I don't have and I do 6 hours. Yeah, I'm 155 pounds, right?
Good.
And 6'1".
Good.
And 6'1".
Oh, wow.
And do 6 hours a night.
Yes. But there are always exceptions. But that obesity is such an epidemic in North America. So, and it could be as simple as making sure you get a little bit more sleep. Now, but there's so much more that happens when you don't get good sleep. A consistent lack of sleep, and again, I'm not saying once every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, but consistently, can lead to a variety of health problems like a toxic buildup in your body, of course, weight gain, we just said, accelerated aging, depression, irritability, impatience, low sex drive, memory loss, lethargy, relationship problems, and even accidents. The studies reveal that at least 1,500 reported drowsy driving fatalities every year. So you've got to get the sleep, and it makes you age so much quicker. A study done at University of Chicago asked I'm glad I wasn't in this study, but they asked participants to stay in bed for 4 hours a night for 6 nights, and then 12 hours a night for the next 7 nights. And they found that when you're sleep deprived, your blood sugars, your cortisol, and your sympathetic nervous system activity rose, and the thyrotropin, which regulates thyroid, fell. In other words, the results of this study show that chronic sleep deprivation forces your body into that fight-or-flight response, pushing blood sugars and other hormone-related functions out of kilter. And keep this in mind about cortisol. That's one of the stress hormones. Higher cortisol levels that aren't brought down if you don't get enough sleep lead to, among other things, memory loss, an increase in fat storage, and a decrease in muscle. That's the perfect combination if you want to lower metabolism and gain weight easily. But if you want to increase your muscle mass, and we should all want to do that, and which is necessary to create a fit, lean body, because the more muscle you have, the more healthy and robust metabolism you have. That means how many calories you burn at rest. You need a good 8 hours of sound sleep nightly to encourage muscle maintenance and growth and a release of that human growth hormone, which keeps us youthful and strong. So putting this another way, sleeping can absolutely make you slimmer. And let me just add a little PS to that. That same study at the University of Chicago, they asked participants who slept 4 hours a night for a week, found that they metabolized glucose 40% more slowly than usual, which is similar to the rate in very elderly people. And glucose metabolism quickly returned to normal after getting a full night's sleep every night for a week. You can't just make it up in one night. So these are just all reasons why you don't want to sacrifice good sleep.
I'm going to tell you another story that I used to go through before I got into this wonderful work of energy. I was in the printing business, and one of the downfalls of being in such a business is, number one, you end up working shift work. So you're working a 12-hour shift. You're working 3 12-hour shifts, and then you're off for 4. So now your body is going through this whole change that it never gets to catch up to. You do 3 on, 4 off, and then you change from days to nights. Now, if you look at the work that most people do now, if you're working, let's call it not a desk job, but more of a physical job, printing, manufacturing, something or other, there's companies that run 24/7. So now you're working these graveyard shifts, these day shifts, and going back and forth. And of course, you need to work. You got to make money. You got to come home and pay the bills and put food on the table. Is there anything that people can do to help to create a sleep pattern that is going to be conducive to the work you do?
Well, that's so difficult because your body thrives on the same routine day after day, meaning getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time. And they've done studies on people that work the way you did with different shifts, a few days on, like firemen, a few days off, and found that their bodies were not as healthy as people that could keep a regular routine. Now, people often say to me, well, what about if I just took a nap? So let me mention a few things about that. Remember, every hour you lose adds to your sleep indebtedness, and you can't expect to catch up by sleeping in late one day a week, because the lost sleep, and especially if you do those kinds of shifts, accumulates progressively and contributes to long-term health problems. And of course, it's not just adults, it's children and teens who need more sleep than adults, because if you have that loss of sleep, it increases the chance of accidents, depression, violent and aggressive behavior. Now, I know in my area, and I don't know about your area, but there are companies in my area and some around the country that have an enlightened practice where they adopt the pioneering view that napping can actually promote productivity. So some companies provide special nap rooms for employees. And it is a good battle, that can be looked at to help as a powerful tool to fight fatigue. But here's the other side of the coin. What if you have insomnia? Naps can actually aggravate your night's sleep, because if you take the edge off of your sleepiness, an afternoon nap may make it a little bit harder for you to get to sleep at night. In other words, if you're sleepy because of insomnia, napping should be avoided. And here's something else, because there's a connection between your eating and when you sleep. Now, naps are not recommended right after a meal. By the way, it's natural to want a nap after eating, because the distension of the stomach, here I'm touching my stomach, you can't see, from the meal increases the deep sleep drive. So the problem is that if you overeat, the digestive process may interfere with the quality of your sleep, and conversely, sleep will interfere with the digestive process. You're better off to allow digestion to occur before sleeping, as both digestion and sleep tend to work better when performed separately. And think back to, we just had Thanksgiving and all these holiday meals and the bowl games where you're constantly eating. And it makes a lot of people really tired. And can I mention one more thing about the timing in which you eat? And this is a double-sided coin, too, because hormones, I hope you guys aren't asleep. Hormones,
oh, no.
Yeah, hormones signal the brain when you're full, but it takes 20 minutes from start time before you feel it. So slow eating not only aids in digestion, but gives your brain a chance to know what your stomach is doing. And if you make a meal last a little longer than 20 minutes by talking, here's a novel idea, put your fork down between bites, or just waiting, you're less likely to eat on automatic pilot and more likely to realize that you're full. But here's the flip side. If you have a big meal, like we often do when families get together and holidays and birthdays, you've got to Now, I just said you've got to take longer than 20 minutes to eat, but the flip side is you need to finish your big meal within an hour of starting, and here's why. The body produces a second insulin hit if it senses that lots of food is coming in continuously, and you can avoid that second hit and all the subsequent fat storage that it triggers by finishing a meal within an hour of starting. See, I just got back from the UK. I did a media tour for my 2 new books, and everywhere I went, people wanted to provide dinners for me in homes and restaurants, and they would eat for hours. And so I just made sure I finished the meal within an hour, and I did the British thing. I just had a cup of the chamomile tea after the dinner, and while they were still eating, and everybody at all the tables where I went were very overweight. But just know that if you haven't eaten something within the hour, save it for tomorrow. It will still be there, but you won't be wearing it on your hips.
Your body has to have this constant rhythm, a good circadian rhythm of digestion, sleep, and your body does one thing at a time really good. Yeah, I mean, how many people... It really
does a million things at a time really well. It really does, but about eating and then going right to bed, you just don't want to do that. You want to you want to let digestion happen before you get into bed.
How many people have to have that midnight snack or a bowl of cereal, while you're watching a little bit of TV before you go to bed? That's something. It's more habit than anything else. I mean, I know I used to have my ritual, a little bowl of cereal before I went to bed, and then I went to bed with this stuff in my gut. It would do its thing.
It's like what you just said. It's like a ritual and a habit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say this. You never want to eat too close to bedtime, like about 3 hours. And a big spicy meal will cause sleep-inhibiting indigestion and excessive. And if you're excessively hungry, you'll be restless. But here's what you can do. And what you did wasn't too much of a bad idea. You'll see. You want to choose the evening meals wisely, because carbo-rich foods, send the amino acid tryptophan to the brain, which induces sleep. Protein inhibits tryptophan's journey to the brain, making you more alert. So if you are truly hungry after your dinner meal, Chris, and it's not just because it's a habit, but you really are famished because you don't want to go to bed excessively hungry, choose a healthy carbohydrate snack instead of protein. Now, some people say, well, Susan, I just drink alcohol and that puts me to sleep. Alcohol is a stimulant and blocks the restful sleep experience during the REM cycle. And make sure during the day you get a balance of minerals, especially calcium, magnesium, and iron, because these all have a sedative effect. Deficiencies will keep you awake.
Okay, another big issue that I faced, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, is you get to bed and you can't stop that mind from rolling. All you're doing is thinking about the day. Now, again, back to printing. Printing is a very stressful job because ultimately it's pretty easy to throw away about $20,000 worth of paper if you have a little problem with the job, right? So you get home and you're thinking, oh, did I do it right? Am I going to get trouble in the morning? So your brain is always thinking, your brain is always rolling. So that is an anxiety. And, there's anxieties about everything that people face on a daily basis. So what can people do to calm that hamster wheel down, stop that brain from rolling and racing, and able to relax and actually get to sleep?
Okay, so let's take our cue from babies. Usually you give them a nice bath at night, and parents maybe know or don't know this, but that's a good thing to do because the heat in the baby's body helps the baby to sleep at night. And in terms of adults, and this is something that I believe in so much, and in a moment I want to tell you what to do with your thumb and finger with a breathing technique that takes 3 to 5 minutes to help you, Chris, calm down before you go to sleep. But this is something that most people don't know, and it's a miracle. In fact, by the way, on my website, my name, SusanSmithJones.com, I posted 2 blogs just for your listeners. So the first one is about heat therapy and sweating and even infrared saunas. The second is about water and how you've got to keep your body hydrated. It's hard to sleep if you're dehydrated. But listen to this about heat. If you increase your evening heat, that will promote deeper sleep. And it's about your body temperature hits a peak about 2 hours before bedtime. And as your body temperature drops, melatonin, this is for Carmen, is released, and your body gets, because this is natural melatonin that's released in your body, and then your body can drop into a deeper sleep. Now, the bigger the drop in temperature from being heated up, let's say you took a quick shower, down to cooling down, the more melatonin is released. And here's the interesting point. People, you can tell I love this stuff. People next time I'll be a little more enthusiastic though. People with insomnia do not have the normal drop in temperature, so they aren't as ready for deep sleep. So I always say, heat up your body With exercise, 4 hours before bedtime, not any closer because it will rev you up too much. But if you can take a hot bath, or my favorite, which I have, is an infrared sauna 2 hours before bedtime in the evening, you will absolutely, it calms your mind, relaxes your body, then you have a great increase in melatonin, and you will sleep better. And then here, so look at your thumb and your index finger. I'm going to do this with you. Take your right thumb and close the right nostril. So I'm doing that right now. And breathe through the left nostril for 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. You take the right thumb, close the right nostril, and breathe through the left nostril. And this helps relax the brainwave activity, balancing out the beta. And then the next level, when you get more relaxed, is alpha. And then as you start, when you deep meditators know this, I've been studied, so I go into theta, the next level, slower level of brainwave activity. And then, of course, it's delta. But so if you do that nostril deep breathing for 3 to 5 minutes, it helps take you from beta to alpha, slow down that brainwave activity, relax the chatter in your mind, and will help you sleep. I would not be without my infrared sauna. And I think you know this about me. No company pays me to recommend anything, ever. And so I have 2 infrared saunas, one in my office, and the one in my home is by High Tech Health, known in the industry in Boulder, Colorado, to have the best infrared saunas. I have their Transcend 2, so I mean, I just use it alone, but it could seat 2 people. I just like space around me. And they're doing something this month they've never done before, and I asked them to do this just for me, and you'll see it in my first blog. They're giving $500 off on the sauna and free shipping, which saves you $850, and they ship anywhere in America and Canada. They don't ship anywhere else in the world, but I've had my 2 infrared saunas for almost 20 years, and you know, so if you took an infrared sauna 2 hours before bedtime, you would never have a sleep issue. And if you don't have an infrared sauna and don't want to get one, a jacuzzi bath, a long bath with lavender oil in the bath will help you sleep.
The breathing exercise is pretty much a conscious breathing effort, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So easy to do. And even if you're about to give a talk and you're stressed out or you're in a lot of traffic, you can still put, like I'm doing, my right thumb up to my right nostril and just breathe through the left side, and it helps to calm you down.
It calms down that sympathetic nervous system, get that deep breathing. If you don't breathe, you die. Your body needs to be able to release the stress through a deep exhale.
And by the way, it does help you go from more beta to alpha, which puts you in a more peaceful, calm mood, makes it so things just don't bother you.
When we're doing energy work, is they will yawn. A lot of people will take a big, deep breath and yawn and release. That is when the release happens. So by taking that deep breath and you release, there goes a lot of anxiety. There goes a lot of stress that you're building up. That really relaxes your body. I'm always telling people, if you're in a stressful situation, take 30 seconds, do some conscious deep breathing, then go back to it.
Yes, exactly. And I like, you see, I forgot to say this. I like what you just said about deep breathing, because you don't want to do those 3 to 5 minutes of holding your right nostril and go, no, because that's not good. You want to take long, slow, deep breaths, and then hold the oxygen in for a few seconds, and then slowly breathe out. And go ahead.
I think you said the key word, and that's oxygen, because when we're not breathing properly, you're not taking in that deep amount of oxygen. And oxygen, if you don't have oxygen in your body, you might as well just say goodnight, Irene, because your body's not going to function.
You have a good relationship with Irene, don't you? And if you don't breathe deeply and hold it in, you don't get that oxygen down to the lower lobes of the lungs that has the most efficacious transfer of oxygen over to your red blood cells to then be carried throughout your body. And also, this is why, now let's tie this into my new book, Invest in Yourself with Exercise. I talk about why aerobic exercise is so important. The word aerobic means, do you know what it means?
Working aerobically means you're replacing the oxygen in your body.
Yes, it means with oxygen. So let's say Carmen's married, we'll say. Okay, hi, Carmen. And let's say you're jogging with your husband, and he's breezing along and singing a song, but you are so out of breath you can't put two syllables together. Well, he's still doing an aerobic activity using the fat as the substrate, the fuel source. But you, Carmen, are no longer aerobic. You're anaerobic, which means you won't be burning fat. You shut off the fat burning, and that doesn't mean it's not good for you, but if you want to lose weight and get all the endorphin release from aerobic activity, then you should have your husband go ahead of you and then circle around you, and you need to still be jogging or power walking at the point where you can carry on a conversation.
The heart rate, when it gets up way too high, you're not burning fat. You're getting into the muscle stores, and then you're going to create lactic acid, and then you're going to create sore muscles, and then you're going to create a scenario where it's going to be hard to sleep because you're so sore.
Yeah, that's right. I know. Boy, you know your stuff. Now, listen, for Carmen, who asked about melatonin, let's go through some really specific tips. First of all, the heat thing, there's nothing better than that, to heat your body up deeply from the core out, and an infrared sauna is a great way to do that. But let's say you're not into taking baths or heating your body up. There are other things that you can do, and you want to make your bedroom a sanctuary. First of all, I have a little side business called Simply Organized, and I love to organize clients. I love to organize homes, and I won't work with anyone who lives in clutter all around them. So you want your bedroom to be a sanctuary. It should not be where the office is, and it should be beautiful. You should have sheets that make you smile, and you should always wear natural fiber PJs if you wear them, and bedding on the bed, because natural fibers attract, like cotton, negative ions. Now, paradoxically, negative ions lift your mood, make you happy, make you relaxed. You find negative ions out in nature, by the ocean and rivers and streams and mountains and trees. So and we're having, I don't know if you've heard this, but we're having major Santa Ana winds right now in LA. And this morning I did a radio interview at 6:30, and there was a major fire that just started an hour from me. I live in Brentwood, and it was right by the Getty Museum a mile away. And there were hundreds of fire trucks. On the show, they could keep hearing the sirens. I didn't say on the show we were having fires. I just said it was a hot topic today on the show. Wait, so why did I bring that up? Why did I bring up about the siren? The negative ions. When you have Santa Ana winds, it puts more positive ions in the air, and that depresses you. The most crimes are committed during a full moon and Santa Ana or Chinook winds. So make sure your bedding and PJs are natural fiber. Make sure the room is dark and quiet. You always want, even though I heard you talk about how cold it can get there, but you still want the window cracked open just a little bit to get fresh air in. It's always good to have a green plant because it gives off oxygen, and the extra oxygen from the green plants promotes sound sleep. The room should be cool, and it's good to have your pillow cool as well. So sometimes I take, those blue freezer things that, what do we call them? Ice packs, that I always have a few on hand if I sprained or strained something. But these are good to put on your pillow about 30 minutes before you go to sleep, get into bed, and then remove it, because a colder pillow will help you sleep better. Or if you don't have the ice pack, fill a zip-top bag with some ice cubes. 2 to 3 drops of the pure essential lavender oil on your pillowcase promotes relaxation and calm. Yes, of course, you need a good mattress, and you need a few pillows. It's better, Chris and Bob, to never sleep on your stomach. It leads to low back pain and puts more wrinkles on your face. If you sleep on your back, it's good to put a big pillow under your knees. If you sleep on your side, just for better posture, sleeping, and alignment, put a spare pillow between your knees. I sleep with about 8 pillows on my bed. Might tell you why I'm not married and I'm still single. But anyway, that's a good way to sleep. Now, lots of people will watch TV at night. I know, TMI, right? Lots of people will watch TV at night, and they don't know why they can't go to sleep. Because the light from the TV, or if you had a light on your bedside table, or you wake up in the middle of the night, let's say you walk to the bathroom, and you blast the light, all the way to high, that immediately, Carmen, this is for you, shuts down your level of melatonin, and it hardly ever will recover the rest of the night. So you want to keep the room definitely dark and quiet and cool, and if you need to use the bathroom at night, like many people do, have a very faint night light. I have one in my hall and a faint light that goes on in the bathroom, but so never blast it to the highest degree, because it will make it very difficult for you to go back to sleep.
When I get up to pee, I call it the blind man's walk. We just know the way to the bathroom. We just follow along, let it happen, go back to bed, and then all is good. Yeah, when you turn that light on.
Down, right?
Oh, yeah.
You put the seat down after. So when your wife,
we're trained.
When Irene has her blind walk to the bathroom, she won't be surprised where she sits.
We're trained
that's
for that
happened
one.
a few times.
Yeah,
that's happened a few times. I get the evil eye and everything the next morning.
There's one thing, Susan, though, you talk about the TV that's on. There is something that was on one of my shows. There's a study out about the blue that comes through the TV. You should there's certain glasses or something that you can wear if you're going to watch TV.
That's right.
In bed.
That is
so
right.
It cuts out the blue that does something to your brain.
I know. Now that's a good point. However, if, and I know, Chris, you said you watch the news, and I watch the news, but I normally won't watch it right before I go to sleep. Because remember, you're drifting from beta, alpha, theta to delta. And even though you might think I'm so positive and none of this negativity on the news affects me, it's hard not to be affected by what's on. I mean, the horrific story I heard in London today about what some terrorists wanted to do with Theresa May.
Yes.
I was shocked when I heard that, and luckily they foiled it before anything could happen. But it's just better to read a positive book, like The Curative Kitchen and Lifestyle, and something that is positive, that uplifts you, that inspires you, and you can still have a soft light on the bedside table to read. And then if you're watching, what did you say, Jimmy Kimmel? And Jimmy Kimmel's great. I love to watch him. But I also don't stay up that late because I like to train early in the morning. If I know a guest is going to be on or one of my clients I like to watch, I'll tape it to probably watch the next day. But you're stimulated by all that. You laugh, you think about things, and that's not conducive to good sleep. Now, listen, I haven't tried this. I haven't watched Jimmy Kimmel at night while holding my right nostril with my right thumb and did the deep breathing. Maybe that would make it easier for me to go to sleep after Jimmy Kimmel. But then it's always so good, you don't want to turn it off.
A lot of people will wake up. Let's say normally you get up at 7 a.m. All of a sudden you wake up, it's 4 a.m. and you're awake. Should you get out of bed or should you go back to sleep?
Well, it depends. If you only had 3 hours of sleep, you should put your right thumb on your right nostril and do those breathing exercises. But if you've had, like Bob, let's say you've had 6 hours and you really feel raring to go, like your wife does in the morning, then get up and do something.
I know quite often I'll wake up and I'll go like, you know what? I could probably get up and go do something, but it's only 4 o'clock. I'm going to wake up the kids and then blah, blah, blah. So then you go back to sleep and then you try and wake up at 7, and it's almost like your clock is reset and that your body thinks you need to sleep another 5 hours.
Yeah, I know. But it doesn't matter with you because you're a polar bear when you get up, no matter what time you get up. So as long as you get your 1 or 2 cups of coffee, and you'll be good to go.
And I walk the dog.
And you didn't tell me. Irene doesn't do it.
There you go. Well, no, I get up at the 3 or the 4 o'clock in the morning, and then me and the dog go out, and it's nice and it's quiet, and the stars are out, and you can think about things that you wouldn't be able to normally.
And it's peaceful.
Yes.
You can hear your mind think, and
yes.
If you've had a good night's sleep, think about how you feel getting up on 3 hours of sleep, and on a good night's sleep, you're more positive and empowered and hopeful and inspired, and know that you can handle whatever curveball you get that day.
You also schedule your whole day before the day even begins.
Yes. Absolutely.
You already know the end of the day by the time it becomes like 7 o'clock in the morning.
So if somebody's on a whack of sleeping pills and they want to get off these things and start to retrain their body, what's the best thing for them to do?
Well, remember, it takes 21 days for the body and mind to accept a new habit and no longer crave something. If they're hardcore sleeping pills that need a prescription, I'd ask your doctor to guide you. You might want to wean off of them and not do it cold turkey. I've never taken I've never taken any medication in my life, thanks to my teachings of my grandmother. So, knock on wood, I'm happy about that. But I would say do everything we've talked about. Get in some heat therapy 2 hours before sleep. Make sure your bedroom is like a sanctuary. Have natural fiber bedding and PJs. Put a live plant in the bedroom. Have the bedroom cool and dark and quiet. Have a good mattress, essential oil. You can put a little diffuser on the side of the bed with essential oil, and it's scientifically proven to help relax you and definitely help you sleep. And you talked about what to do in the morning, and what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say I always like to make my day top-heavy in the morning. And that basically means that decide in the morning when you get up. So let's say you woke up at 4 and you couldn't go back to sleep. Make your day top-heavy. Do the least desirable task on your to-do list first thing in the morning when you're generally more well-rested and your energy level is higher. And if you look at it this way, then your day will progressively get easier, not the other way around. And I like to do that. I like to do my most difficult task and get it out of the way in the morning. So if I woke up, I normally get up at 3 to meditate. I've done that for decades. I don't do it every single morning. It might be like right now I'm on deadline to finish a book, and I've been burning midnight oil. And so I've slept in a little bit more in the morning, like 4 or 5 or 6, which for many people that's still early, but for me, half the day is already gone. But the more you follow all these little tips, and don't eat too close to bedtime, and if you have to eat at night, make it a good, healthy carb little snack, you'll find, and if you can stick with a routine, and we're not talking about people who do the night shifts every 3 days and it switches, your body will start thriving and flourishing if you keep the same daily schedule, because your body has an internal clock, and it loves to do the same thing day in and day out. And I say, even on weekends, still get up early because then all of a sudden, if Monday comes, it's hard to get up if you've slept in 4 extra hours each day over the weekend.
It is important to have a structured, not just sleeping time, but your entire day. If you can structure it, it's certainly going to help. Eat the right foods, keep the right mindset, get yourself some good habits, get out of the bad habits, and then watch your health change. I always tell everybody, if you got a problem with your health, change your diet. Change the way you do things a little bit. Structure yourself somewhat. It doesn't have to be a big change. Sometimes subtle changes will do the trick, and that's all we need to do. Susan, once again, how can people get a hold of you? What is your contact?
Yes, go to susansmithjones.com and right there, and look at the first 2 blogs today, and right there in the sidebar, make sure you've signed up for my Healthy Living newsletter. It goes out once a month. I do not inundate you with emails. You only hear from me once a month with a beautiful newsletter with different topics every month. And I'm the one for December has to do with getting through the holidays without fatigue, weight gain, or depression, how to keep your body detoxified even if you're eating rich foods, and so much more. It's a few pages, and it's free, and it takes 10 seconds to sign up. So that's at susansmithjones.com.
And that's all the time we've got for tonight. You have been listening to A Quantum View. Thank you so much, Susan, for being on again. You are a plethora of information, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. Sure am.
You want to know something? Ask Susan. She'll tell you.
And you're a polar bear.
Girl, this is Chris Kehler. We are out of here.
Bye, Bob and Chris.
All right. Night-night now.